What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for coming back to Cobra TV, and today we're going to be talking about No Man's Sky. A little bit of speculation. I think it's well-rooted, though. Sean Murray is pretty cryptic, and he has been doing stuff on Twitter, and I think it's to mess with us. Now, you got to think Sean Murray's Twitter account is a special case because if you look at his account, he's still only following one person with 233,000 followers, and that one person is Hello Games. He does use his Twitter account for very, very specific needs. He does use it to just shout out fans and stuff like that, like this awesome taco base that was made by Charlem Banks. I have no idea why 90% of folks build in No Man's Sky are fast food places, but so that's a pretty cool thing. But what we're stopping by here today to look at is a tweet that Sean Murray posted and tweeted out saying, replacing creatures with NPCs might be my favorite mod so far, and it shows NPCs being replaced with the fauna on the planets, and they're running around. This guy's going crazy. He's got some pretty cool ragdoll effects as well. Before we get into too many more, let's go back to something that I've been beating like a dead horse, and the survey. The survey. Enhancements to underwater exploration. I got and read what I think we already got as far as updates are concerned. The survey was given to us before we got Abyss and Visions, and enhancements to underwater exploration. I believe that was indeed in Abyss. And then Stranger, More Varied Planets. We got that with Visions. Not on a big scale like we were hoping, but that definitely is a Visions. The other things on this list are things that have either been announced or seen. Now let me go ahead and elaborate a little bit on that, and then we'll get back to Sean Murray's Twitter. Now we've got polish of existing features and quality of life improvements. Let's not talk about those right now because I think that those can be added into almost every single update, and probably are in a way. Those could have been thrown on there because it says, which of these features would you like to see most? So these were on their mind. They were thinking about these, and they were working on these, and they're like, well, what order should we release these? So let's put out a survey to see what people would like to see most. And they said on their blog that when we did this, they said, thank you for helping us prioritize our roadmap. We went over this in another video. We'll link that right down below, where we explained how they talked about this in the survey in their blog. And they called it a roadmap, and they said, thank you for helping us prioritize our roadmap. So enhancements on underwater exploration, Stranger, More Varied Planets are very two big ones. No Man's Sky Online, a lot of us want it, but a lot of people don't care. VR, a lot of us want it, but a lot of people don't care. So I can see why those were pushed down to the ladder. And then we've got base building, and we've got more depth and variety of NPCs. I think those definitely fall behind Stranger, More Varied Planets, enhancements to underwater exploration, because a lot of us like to explore in No Man's Sky. So I can see why we got those two first. But okay, so we've got replace orbs with full character models. That means beyond 4 players. So everybody, orbs are finally gone completely, 100%. That's what that one means, but that will fall under No Man's Sky Online. The other one that we've got for No Man's Sky Online on here is G, larger multiplayer lobbies. And then we've got VR support. Everything that I've mentioned so far has been announced. Now, the two left that have not been announced are more base building depth and more depth and variety to NPCs, which we saw the NPCs walking around in one of the Beyond footage when they were having that state of play where people were playing the VR version of Beyond. We got a chance to see for a split second NPCs walking around in a space station. So this one right here, without being said, has got to be within Beyond. It has to be. And then we've got more base building depth. Now, he said that all of these, the 3 updates that they were planning on giving us, worked and intertwined together, and it made more sense to just update the game with all 3 of these updates bundled together in one, because they utilized each other. So if we go back, if we look at more base building depth, How does that intertwine with something? Well, if we're going to have like a big improvement to No Man's Sky Online, then more base building depth would actually work for single player as well as an online feature with hubs. You know, we got the galacticatlas.com, where the main feature of the galacticatlas.com is to show where the hubs are. So they know that we're playing that way. Sean Murray said that these are the features of online. We have not really asked for these, but they've seen the way that we are playing, and they think that we will love these online features. So I really believe that they're going to allow us to build hubs in No Man's Sky. And what better way to add to that is more base building depth. Now, we got Sam Swain working at Hello Games, which he specializes in procedural generated cities. And a lot of people thought, even me, that he was there to give us some cities in No Man's Sky. Now, that could still be true, but I'm leaning more along the lines of if there's going to be cities in No Man's Sky, they're going to be created by us. It's going to be user-generated content by us, so that we're not going to see cities on random planets that we go to unless you accidentally stroll into somebody's hub. So more base building depth works with No Man's Sky Online. My prediction is it's going to focus heavily on hubs, and that is part of 3. More base building depth and along with more depth and variety to NPCs are part of 3. Now, we have not been mentioned what 3 is. We have not been told what 3 is yet, but if we go back to his Twitter account, we do see Sean Murray randomly tweeting out replacing creatures with NPCs might be my favorite mod so far. I believe that is a hint to this is a hint to number 3, more base building depth. Replacing creatures, like more depth and variety to NPCs. I believe that maybe they're not just walking around on space stations, maybe they're going to be also walking around on the planet too. And when we go over to the one that's most confusing to me is he tweeted out the word city. He tweeted out city, and people went kind of crazy. Now, it doesn't have a whole lot of interaction on it because a lot of people aren't following his tweets and replies, and that's what I've got this tuned to, tweets and replies. There's our friend Legacy Zero there. But this was in response to a tweet from Playdate. It's a new handheld controller. Now, when I first seen this, I thought this was a joke. I thought it was like some kind of Onion article or something like that. But it's real. It's real. And it's got this crank on the side of it. Let me see if I can show you guys what that crank looks like, and then we'll go back to. So there's a crank here on the side, and right here, you can see the woman. And it's a black and white screen. So, wow. Okay. Let's go back to the Hello Games tweet. They tweeted out and said, games we need. And they listed a bunch of 8 games that would use a crank. So fishing, bass fishing, super butter churn, Jack in the Box Deluxe, water from the well royale, crane simulator, starting old car racer, hyper organ grinder, bingo number caller online. So they're all crank games that would take a crank handle. And then all of a sudden, Sean Murray replies, city. What? City? Now, he did post an emoji of a vice that I guess has a crank, but how that ties in with city, I have no idea. Look, Sean Murray's like the biggest troll. In a positive way. He likes to troll us, right? He likes to drop little hints and clues and stuff like that. I would venture to say that city is a hint. Now, I don't think we're going to be getting procedurally generated cities all across the universe. I think this is a hint to number 3, which if we go back, I beat this like a dead horse. I'm sorry, but I have, and I believe it's more base building depth. Combined with No Man's Sky Online, and I think we're, with the hubs, with the building, I believe that they revamped the way that the assets are handled, and they're lighter assets, and a lot of people say cities wouldn't make any sense. They're going to be boring. No, they're not going to do anything. Well, we don't want to take trading posts out, do we? We don't want to take every space station out, do we? I mean, those are boring. They're mostly the same. There's really not much there, and the little buildings and shacks all over the place. We don't want to remove things from the games. We want to add things from the game. So I don't see it as just whatever. So a better way to add cities into No Man's Sky is to have us build them. Now, I'm not talking about where if we make a hub, we're going to be able to build Coruscant, right? It's not going to be like that. But we will be able to make cities like, think of a good game, for example, Boundless. Boundless has, you can build cities in Boundless, and it's a really beautiful game. It's a really fun game, and they've nailed it, and it looks amazing. So I believe that we are exactly looking at what we're getting in number 3. More base building depth and more depth and variety to NPCs. But look, on enhancements to underwater exploration, there was so much packed into that. Like I said before in another video, so much packed into that. That just seems like a simple explanation right there. Just like more base building depth, simple explanation in there. And what do I mean by that is one of the data mine files is turrets for your base, right? Like, why would we need a turret? What are we going to have to shoot from our base? So if it says more base building depth, there's other things that go in that are involved in there that aren't mentioned there. What do we need turrets for to shoot? What are we defending? So things are going to be there. Things are going to be added in. It's going to be like bullet points of multiple things that go with more base building depth, things like that. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below with Sean Murray tweeting city, and then another tweet, replacing creatures with NPCs might be my favorite mod so far. Both of these tweets right here fall in line exactly with more base building depth and more depth and variety to NPCs. Let me know what you guys think down below, and we'll get the conversation going. We are going to be having a subcast on Saturday. I missed a subcast the last 2 weeks. We are going to have a subcast on Saturday. You guys can call into the show. We could talk about all these things. I wish I could do it tonight, but I can't. So Saturday, we're going to be having a subcast. I've also started 3 new shows for Patreon, and they're not No Man's Sky related, and they're not really gaming related either. It's just a way for me to give thanks to the people on Patreon. One of them is called Drivecast, where I just turn the phone on voice record and set the phone down, and I podcast on the way home. I'm just like having a conversation, not holding the phone or anything. And the other thing is Force Me to Podcast, where you guys can comment and force me to podcast about a topic that you care about or are interested about. And then the other show is Cobra TV and Chill, where you get to force me and my wife to watch a movie. And we have to sit down and watch it, and then afterwards, me and her will both podcast about that movie. Tell us, we'll tell you what we liked, what we didn't, what was cool about it. Just a movie podcast. And it could be a good movie. It could be a very horrible movie. It could be a movie that you think is funny to force us to watch. So that those are the 3 new shows on Patreon, and just wanted to thank all the Patreon supporters out there for what you are doing for this channel. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And as always, I love you guys. I will see everybody in the next video. Until next time.